Hey everybody, it's Steve. Welcome back. Today we're at my dad's house where we're going to replace the air filter in his 1996 Honda Accord DX. That's right, 1996. It's an old car, but he's an old guy, so I guess that makes sense. He doesn't like to pay for stuff, and you shouldn't either. Don't go to the Jiffy Lube and let those guys change these filters and charge you an arm and a leg. It's an easy job, and luckily it's something that even I can do. Alright, so this is about as basic of a video as you can get for beginners. So we're going to start with opening the hood. Should be a latch down here with a little car on it at the hood open, so just pull that and that will release the main latch of the hood. Okay, on most modern cars, including this 1996 Honda Accord, you're going to have to go inside the engine and find the secondary latch and release that. So you're just going to feel in there, and it's just right to the right of the H. Lift that, push up, and then you're going to lift your hood. Alright, so you lift the hood, and then you're going to need to prop it using this rod. A little notch there indicated with an arrow. And then you're going to find your filter on the left side of the engine here. It's held on by 4 screws. That's a Phillips screw, but you may find that if the screws are stripped out, it's an older car, it could be, you might need to use another tool, a little wrench, and we're going to show you how to do that. Like I said, there's the 4 screws here. We need to loosen them all. Now, we're not going to remove them completely. They actually stay part of the housing, but we'll go ahead and remove them with my Phillips screwdriver. Now, like I said, they may not all come out because sometimes they get stripped out over time and they're rusted. That one came out no problem. Here we go, no problem. Third one. See, that one's stiff and it's stripping out a little bit. And then the 4th one, I can tell by looking at it visually that it's stripped out. So instead, I'm going to use a socket here, which is in this case 5/16, and we'll use that instead. That'll wrap around the outside of it. We're not going to have to use the grip of the screw. So there we go. I've now loosened it, and we'll get access to the last one. So this is really handy if the screw is stripped out, because it wraps around the outside of the nut as opposed to the thread of the screw. So I like this little tool. It's like a screwdriver, but it has pieces that you can take off and replace. So I started off with the Phillips screwdriver, and that was working on the first 2 screws, but then the last 2 screws were stripped out a bit. So I switched it to this socket, which is a 5/16. So you just can insert one, and then you swap it out to the other one, and then you got yourself a new set of tools. Alright, once all the screws are sufficiently loose, it should just lift up. But first we need to move this piece out of the way. Now, it's just a little vent pipe. It's not attached in this car. I don't know if there's ever a screw, but in this car there wasn't one. It just lifted out. And I just need to get it out of the way, that's all. And then we're going to lift this up. And it should slide out of the way of the battery and then lift up, and you'll have access to your filter, which just lifts out. Alright, now if this doesn't lift out easily, then there's a good chance that one of the screws isn't loose enough, so you'll need to loosen it a little further to make sure that it comes away freely. But you can see all the screws are still there. You're not going to lose a screw by setting it aside because they stay inside the housing. So let's lift that out of the way, pull out our old filter, and we'll grab our new one. Okay, so here's our old filter, and you can see how it's pretty dirty, especially on this side. And now let's take a look at our new filter. See the box here? This is a Fram ExtraGuard CA7420. Now, you'll notice though, it doesn't look the same as the filter that's on this box. Well, it needs to, because otherwise it's not going to fit in there. But for whatever reason, that's just their marketing thing. When you look at the filter itself, it is in fact identical. So the only difference is this one's dirty, this one's clean. Alright, we're going to drop our new filter in, and luckily they're all shaped in a way that there's really only one way you can do it, so you can't mess it up. Let's go ahead and put it in. Alright, so once it's dropped in, make sure it's in there snug, and then you're ready to put the housing back on top. Make sure that's positioned correctly. You'll have to squeeze it in there between the battery, and then it'll be ready to screw down. Alright, so we'll finish up by putting all our screws back in, all 4 screws, and I'm going to use this this socket to do it. Again, it's a 5/16, so that I think it's a lot easier than using the screwdriver because the screws strip. And then we'll take our last piece, our little vent piece here, and drop that back into its hole and make sure it's positioned where it needs to be positioned. Okay, that is it. The job is done. Drop that back down here and then close your hood and make sure that it is closed all the way. You can see here it's not quite closed. So there we go. Buttoned up tight and all done. All right, so there you have it. You can see that's a pretty easy and straightforward job and something you should definitely not be paying for when it's this easy. So go online, get yourself a new filter. Make sure you use that Amazon Fit function on Amazon to make sure that you are in fact getting the right replacement for your car. This is a 1996 DX. There's other trim lines though, so sometimes the filters don't line up perfectly if you have a 4-cylinder versus a 6-cylinder. So use that Amazon Fit. It'll tell you for sure if it's the right one or not. This one for this model was the 7420. Even though the picture on the box doesn't look like this, obviously it worked for us. So we are good. Dirty filter gone, new filter in. That's all we have for today. This has been Steve for things that even I can do.